situation. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate your
The
time.
third speaker is Dr. Robert Bueso. He's the third person that made a request.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Dr. Robert Bueso, and I'd like to read these comments if you don't mind, because sometimes I tend to ramble. I'm Dr. Robert Bueso, president of the Valuation Group, an 8-office consulting company headquartered in D.C. and serving our clients from New York, Boston, Miami, Chicago, Atlanta, Brazil, and Buenos Aires. I currently reside in one of my houses in Miami at 10555 Southwest 103rd Street. The Valuation Group partly specializes in full-scale economic consulting and quantifying infrastructural projects, particularly in the international sector. These include road, bridge, highway, seaport, airport, mass transit system building, and expansion. I'm here today to discuss with you my overall viewpoints on user fees or tolling highways, as well as the State Roads 874 and Killian Interchange project. As an expert on transit systems and traffic, I can attest to the high quality of the construction undertaken and finished by MDX in Miami. I have observed how they work hard at keeping the areas affected informed of traffic lane and system changes. How they have worked with traffic patterns in mind, a fact that means significant work is performed between 10 a.m. and about 3 or 4 p.m., and again late at night and into the wee hours of the morning. And that inherently this increases costs of the project. They appear to meet deadlines, work within their budgets, and deliver improvements that are much needed by Miami-Dade residents. I use the word appear because I personally have not conducted an audit of their projects, but do go by the available public records of their enterprise. Moreover, MDX has a clearly articulated vision of the infrastructural needs of the county. These include wider and more connective expressways, a more coherent and timely bus system, and a responsible and quantifiable approach to overall flows of people within the county. Overall flows include such issues as how to transport more people from their homes to their place of employment, the quote-unquote journey to work, in an expeditious manner. About 2 years ago, I was driving southbound on 107th Avenue and I was the first car in a long line waiting for my light to change to green so that I could make a left turn and enter the 874 ramp, when a white pickup truck that was exiting off of 107th Avenue exit ramp on the inside lane with a huge trailer behind it decided instead to go west onto Killian. This bizarre decision led to his ramming another vehicle that was turning right on the outside lane, and that vehicle spun around several times, coming to rest after it crashed into my vehicle. I saw him coming but could not do anything, as I had cars behind me and cars in the lane adjacent to mine. The accident was a direct result of irresponsible driving, not road and ramp design flaws. The accident was a direct result of his driving. The only way to prevent that car from going straight into the design before the one that had just recently been implemented would have been to erect a wall or construct a barrier with cement borders that followed the configuration of the road. Needless to say, it was a hit-and-run accident also. The car that illegally went westbound after smashing directly into the car turning in front of it illegally just gunned his motor and kept going westbound. Accidents have long since been an issue at this intersection. There's no doubt about that. I am confident that MDX project's operational improvements will ultimately enhance traffic operations, thereby enhancing safety as they are directly correlated. I look forward to the project's ultimate completion. As a former professor of economics, and you can probably tell how I speak about that, I can aver that the toll system imposed by MDX works best with regard to allocational efficiency. A rider that uses the road pays for its use. Those not wanting to use the road are not forced to use it. They can take an alternative route. The law considers driving a privilege, and so the use of the road's cost must be recovered in some fashion. The most desirable near-to-private sector mechanism employed by the MDX, that of having users pay for the road, ensures they will not build a road or bridge to nowhere. For if they built it and no one used it, then they go broke. The shift to open road tolls is very philosophically sounds fact. The more you use, the more you pay, and you only pay for what you use. If a driver has the time, or if getting there faster is not important to him or her, they can, for instance, traverse the journey from East Kendall to West Kendall along Kendall Drive for free. Alternatively, if traffic is congested along the route, and last time I checked it was an F rating, a driver can opt onto 878 and go from US 1 to Killian Parkway via a toll road. A driver can go from the residence in Homestead to their employment in the Central Business District along US 1 and face traffic lights and congestion for free, or they can ride the turnpike north to meet the Palmetto Expressway and seamlessly merge onto the Dolphin Expressway for a fee to reach his/her destination in the county's largest employment area. The same driver can reach the county's second largest employment base, the Doral area, by using the turnpike to reach the Palmetto Expressway and exit at 25th Street or 36th Street. I understand that some consider the tolls double dipping, quote unquote, in that the county has a local option tax and charges a state gas tax also. The tax is easy to impose as it is paid as you buy gas and thus requires very little state or county personnel, which means low cost of collections. Nevertheless, it has a very serious and perverse allocational efficiency, for it is regressive with regard to income. And since older cars, those affordable to poorer people, are less gas efficient, the poor tend to pay a higher percentage of the tax when measured with respect to income. This, however, is an argument to be made to the Florida legislature and to the county commission, not to the MDX. On the one hand, and to the extent that the tax pays for transit-related services such as mass transit by the county and road building and enhancement by the state of Florida, at a time of large deficits, I wish you luck with regard to finding a sympathetic ear. There will always be quote-unquote free riders and others that want the service rendered at no cost to them, either due to callous disregard or mere ignorance. There is no doubt that the Eisenhower administration's sage and far-sighted approach to interconnecting the nation's highways with an integral transportation system formed a large part of the boom that allowed this country to grow. It is no doubt that 60 years later we need to reinvest in the system. But it is also true that we need a new funding mechanism and that the fairest way is for the user to pay. We can no longer live with the philosophy that the federal government will cover everything and that we are entitled to free roads.
Thank you, Mr. Oweso.
Yes,
Are there any questions from the board members or comments?
I'm sorry if this turned into a sort of like a...
If you want to leave us a copy of that, I'd like to read it. Yeah, thank you.
I'd like to talk to them. If you can give it to the board secretary, we'll make copies for the board.
Yeah, we'll give it back to you. Make copies for the board. Any questions from the board members, comments?
Yeah,
Ms.
I'd like to
Board
make
Member
a comment. I'd like to thank the three gentlemen that came before us to speak.